Hi everyone, it's Lavender Sky Panther. Welcome. It is Sunday, March 26th, 2023, and this is show number 184 called Sky Arc. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening March 1st through the 11th, 2023. I am recording late night once again, so pardon any voice cracks and things of that nature. This seems to be the only time frame I have lately to record a show, so bear with me. Anyway, we're looking at a very intriguing scene here. We'll get into it into the show, but this will be looking north in the skies over Miami. All right, so let's just jump into things. On the left is the original, on the right is a slightly enhanced version of the photo. It is a little fuzzy, pardon that, but you get the idea. This is looking at Jupiter on the left and Venus on the right when they were pretty much closest to each other in appearance in the sky on March 1st. So this is looking west at about 7:30 in Miami, Florida. And you kind of get the gist again, even though it's a little blurry, just the relationship and how these two sat in conjunction with each other in the sky. All right, now we're looking north. These are all going to be in Miami this time, over the skies of Miami, or out far west in Miami. So this is looking north in the afternoon. So on the left-hand side, obviously that's the original. On the right is what I call enhanced. And for anyone who's new, well, first of all, thank you so much to all of you. Whether you're new or returning here, I really do appreciate you being here and going through some of this stuff with me. And as always, I invite you to leave any comments, if you like, in the comment section below of anything that comes to mind when you see these things, or if you're inspired or moved in any way, or also if you see something else that I don't necessarily call out. There's going to be so much going on in any given photo. I really can't cover it all. And also, I'm narrating this as I go through and record the show on a laptop screen, which is a larger format than if I looked at these slides on a smaller handheld device or in thumbnail format. So that, just keep that in mind too. So if you're looking at this on a smaller screen and smaller scale, some things maybe, might really jump out at you that I also just missed. Anyway, on the left-hand side is the original. When I say enhanced on the right, that means I've taken the original photo and have edited attributes of it, such as color saturation, brightness, contrast, maybe sharpness, maybe some warmth, and that's it. Okay, so on the right-hand side, we can already see, it really pops out from the left that there's much more going on that meets the eye than if we just look with the naked eye. So, thanks to the digital technology, again, I consider it a blessing and a curse, all this, advanced technology, some of it. But in this case, it really does help because it gets us to really see past a lot of the veiling and particulate that's in the sky and gives us a vaster range of photo and light sensitivity, so we can really see some extra things going on when we do the enhancements with the digital technology. So we look to the right. And, at first I just see this, let's just say, chemical-filled trail, or like I've been saying in other shows, I also have a theory. These could also be camouflage trails where maybe they're not toxic as the chemtrails are, but they just serve to, be a red herring, a distraction from what else might be going on in the sky. So obviously, as human beings, we look up and, we're distracted by this thing coming straight down. Well, when we look with the digital enhancement here, look at the right. Really, what's happening is this trail, regardless of what it is, look at it, it's either going down, I think it's going down, I don't think it's springing upward, but regardless, we see that it's interrupted. Well, why? Well, the more we look at E.1, we see that there's a dark triangular shape. So that can either be a cloaking craft, or it could be some type of opening or portal. I don't know. I'm leaning toward a cloaking craft, which is blocking, this thing that's going down, behind it. Anyway, there's a lot more to say about this, but I'm gonna move along for now because I would like to make this a shorter show. It's definitely gonna be shorter than last time, than the last longer sky show. I might as well bring that up too. Just if you notice, I am doing a few more readings here and there with oracle cards and tarot cards recently, just because I feel at the same time I'm looking at the skies, there's some other messages that want to come out for the collective. So if that's not your thing, just, wait for the sky shows. And if you like sky shows and the readings, great. Or just the readings, equally great. Hope, whatever the case, there's something inspirational in anything that I ever show you and share with you. All right, I'm going to go back 1 second. So we're going to look down at this, hang on, what are we going to do? Oh, B, C, and D. Okay. We're going to look at the upper part of this slide first with extra enhancement, and then we're going to go down to the lower part. Okay, so keep your eye on B, C, and D. So here we go. Here's that thing coming down. And then we also see something strange here. We also see another triangular form. If you look at this like void area in here, framed by whatever this stuff is in the cyan color. But look at this. It looks like something is flying up out of here, hooking around, and there's a pure triangular form up here at D point 2. So again, I'm not sure. Are we dealing with the void being a Stargate type thing or portal, or does that happen to be also another triangular shaped craft that's a solid and just something happens to be flying up out of it? You know, see what you think. Now we're going to go down to the lower portion. I'll go back a minute. We're going to go down to this lower portion. If you follow my cursor on the lower right hand side, E and F, we're going to see like what's going on. There's a lot of swirling movement there. And here's what I get. Now it is a little far away, so it's hard to pick up stuff, but what I do pick up is at the top of this, we have stuff in heavy camouflage. So the camouflage material or the cloaking material of what I see to be suspected, you know, cloaking craft up in the sky, I'm going to call and refer to as plasma. It just means it's something very, you know, thicker and denser than just regular moisture vapor that kind of clings to objects and can help them cloak. Now, is that exactly what it is? I don't know. I can't prove it, but that's just what I'm going to call it for now. Now, at looking at this scene, it's kind of hard to, you know, obviously see what's in this whiteout, but this whiteout to me tells me those are objects. But right now I see these straight lines, and the back end of this is an example of what is that plasma kind of cloaking the back end of this thing. Now we also see not only one, if you follow my cursor, there's another one here, keep going, and they're all perfectly parallel to each other. So I think we've got a host of multiple craft going on over in here. There's a slightly bigger one going on down here, and look at this. Perfect straight rigid curve over here, and another one perfectly paralleling it like if it were concentric. So there's intelligent design going on all over the place in the scene. I'm going to move along because there are going to be better examples. It's a little hard to see things in this one, so let's move along. Okay, now here's another classic example where things look like a whiteout, things are pretty hazy, but when we do the enhancement we see a lot more popping out. Look at this thing. What's this perfect, you know, stick-like thing moving along? It branches off into, you know, like a V or a Y shape. Just really curious what's going on in here. And there seems to be a darker oval, you know, kind of shape in the background. This seems to be an overlaying or, you know, a bunch of cloaking craft just, you know, all over the place here. And, you know, because we look at here at D.1, that looks like a diamond shape or a square shape thing. There's got to be stuff cloaking in here, but we get such a whiteout and glare out, it's hard to see what it might be exactly. But if you look at my cursor in the lower right-hand corner, you know, that looks like maybe the back end base of a triangle. Just a lot of strange things going on here. And again, I'm going to move along because there's also more examples that are clearer to pick out things than this. Okay, but we'll reduce it down one more time with some more extreme contrast and other things, editing the attributes of this photo. I just want to distill it down to the essence of what's going on, and that's in the lower right-hand corner. So I get the brightest kind of highlight part is the triangle happening down here. And, you know, goodness knows what else is going on here. I see a pipe with an open end here to that pipe. There's so much going on, but again, I'm going to have to leave it for now because we have clearer examples coming up. All right, this little sequence here, the original is on the left-hand side, and a progression of the editing of the attributes continues on over to the right. I did include this on my community page if you want to have a look there as well. So here I'm looking off to the west after, you know, right about sunset, and I just couldn't help but notice this really dark figure, or I didn't know what it was going on in there, but with enhancement it starts to come out even clearer as, yes, being a dark object. There's also looks like an object here. So when we go to the right with more extreme enhancement, we see there's absolutely some kind of object, and it breaks in quote-unquote cloud or heavy dense particulate, which is artificially generated, by the way. But there's kind of an opening in that stuff. There might even be a bigger object coming along the top. Looks like a bigger craft above. But it is what it is. What is this object exactly? I don't know, but, you know, we go from a dark solid object, and then it starts to get a little translucent looking when we look into the particulate. It looks like there might be a sphere or an oval or egg-shaped thing at the top of it, you know, directly connected to, I don't know, maybe getting beamed up by the ship or something. Anyway, hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. If I hop off, it's just usually to clear my voice. All right, so now down below, what's interesting is that these two things are in close proximity to each other, and yet have a completely different color signature. And this also looks like a traditional but huge, aircraft, or like space shuttle even. It's really strange. So there's a lot of high strangeness going on in this scene. See what you see in it. Here's just a zoom in. I probably should have gotten here quicker, but anyway, you see this object. Now what's interesting here is when we see this on a bigger format, we start to see some really strange wavy behavior all over the place. And to me that means that we're witnessing electromagnetic or other types of waves generated by whatever's powering these craft that we're seeing, or whatever's going on with some kind of phenomenon where this is breaking, parting the particulate, so to speak. I do still think that reinforces my theory that there's a bigger ship up here, because we see a green outline and it's very wavy right in there. So I do think some type of craft is generating it up here, and maybe they're also having some kind of interaction, like this thing is sending things up to it, it looks like. This is really bizarre. I haven't seen this before in my going on 4 years now of intently watching the skies every single day and night. But see what you can make out of this. And again, how bizarre that we've got vertical movement with this big triangular chunk of whatever that is, while it's juxtaposed immediately to a horizontal plane, more horizontal thing happening here in the red. It's just really bizarre. See what you see in that scene? Okay, I'm just going to show a few more. Again, that's the original on the left-hand side. And we just see some weird things happening on the right. And I'm just giving you the enhancement done in a few different ways with different color waves and different things, because maybe you can see, some things even better. On the left, obviously, it emphasizes that if these two things are two distinct objects. And on the right, look at the movement of what could be going on, that this thing is sending stuff up to a bigger ship. I mean, we really see it here. Makes it look like the green material is similar to whatever green material is up here. And again, that's where I suspected there was another larger ship. And where we have this break or energetic wave, making this kind of chasm or this divide, makes sense once again that this is kind of communicating, sending something up and down, with this thing. It's really, really, really wild. And note on this right-hand side what then happens with this red area. The whole scene is just pretty freaking strange. See what you see in there. All right, let's move on. So now we're going to be looking north at 6 p.m. This is March 5th, and, once again, just strange. Are we looking at a chemical-filled trail that's fanning out? Or, again, to me, this is just a trail that is a decoy or a red herring, a distraction from what else is going on as far as craft, or maybe even bigger planetary bodies veiled behind a lot of particulate in the sky. There's a lot of possibilities. Do also visit my description box below as to some of the things that could be going on in our atmosphere. I put down some possibilities just to ponder and see what else you can come up with, or what you think with what's going on in our skies today, because it's anything but natural. All right, so anyway, let's highlight this, or at least do some enhancement to see what's going on. And here's what we got. Just some very strange patterning. Some strangeness is going on down here at 8.1 as well. So we're going to look at that 8.2. We're kind of just trying to, get at what's going on. It's very strange movement. And look at these, they're all parallel to each other. What the heck is this thing? 8.3 looks like technology, some kind of craft, or parts and pieces from a bigger craft. If you look at this overall yellow body, perhaps this is one huge craft cloaking in there. And this is machine parts, popping up out of it. See what you think. I mean, there's even like an oval or a pointed elliptical form right in there. We have this green signature at the perimeter. It's all just very strange. All right, now we're going to be looking south at 6 p.m. And it doesn't look like much at first glance, but there is a trail coming through that gets interrupted once again. Here you see it even better. So whenever it's interrupted like this, I know it might be hard to see, but there's a little bit of a magenta and a violet kind of body. It looks like some type of body or form right in there that's interrupting, it's breaking that, chemical filled trail or that camouflage trail. So once again, I think whomever, whatever entities, they're clearly of ET origin. I don't think these are just humankind doing these things. I think it's either some type of ET tech, or maybe even some supernatural involvement. But More often than not, I think it's ET tech. And when I say ET, yes, I'm talking about advanced extraterrestrial technology, at least advanced compared to human technology right here for 2023. It could also be interterrestrial. So yes, I absolutely do support the possibility of there being inner Earth and also life in there that has advanced technology that could be coming in and out of the Earth. So whatever we slice it, it also could be human involvement with any of those said entities. However, we'll move along. It could also be interdimensional entities, any number of things. But in this case, I do see that there's some type of something cloaking that's interrupting the path of this thing. Oops, hang on. So we'll go a little bit more. We'll look at it with enhancement. And here you start to see that magenta, it's interrupting this path. So again, I think the path is just one big distraction for some bigger bodies that are moving through our atmosphere of cloaking craft. Now, this is weird, though, because even though it looks like a chemical-filled trail or a camouflage trail, it looks like we have some kind of organism in here. I've been seeing a lot lately that, I see very rigid technological pieces of designed craft, parts and pieces poking out, very rigid symmetrical geometry, telling me that we've got some intelligent design going on. But at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of these really organic looking things. They even look like sometimes look very aquatic like in the sky. And so here's another, enigma, real mystery here of what is this? So this could be the little entity, making this trail. So what the relationship is or is not between this thing and this bigger craft is what I'm going to say. I don't know, but it gets more and more mysterious sometimes the more we look into these slides. Sometimes there's more questions than answers. See what you think is going on in that scene. All right, this is looking west at a sunset, obviously. What caught my attention, though, is this was really fiery, unusually kind of fiery red. I know it looks like a white glare out, but in person it was much more red. It was white at the center, don't get me wrong, but it really did have a very strong pure red glow around it, which I really haven't seen lately. We look to the right and there we get it. Now what's odd is that it has a fiery red, component to it, but then we got this huge wall of dark cloud mass, and up at the top I see suspected already that looks like a disc perched on top of this cloud. There's these little white points that look like pipe ends. If you look to the right and see my cursor moving, that's the top of some type of craft as well. So I highly suspect I don't often see a huge gray wall like this off on the horizon. To me, this is loaded with cloaking craft. And you'll see why I'm talking about that, because at C.1 it absolutely looks like a disc. Look to the right with like a reflective part at the top, very rigid form. And this looks like part of it as well. So I think we're just seeing a little bit of something, perched on top of a cloud, or also hiding within the cloud material. Here we move in again and you can see it. I've really blasted out the contrast and things on this, and this holds true. And this looks like it has some, that plasma cloaking material. Wafting, I like to say, not wafting. I like wafting. I prefer it over this thing. And again, some material, plasma wafting over here as well. So see what you see. All right, now this is really strange looking south toward the evening. Something felt really crazy and strange. Looking at this big cloud mass kind of erupting out of nowhere, extremely low in the sky. That's the other thing with these weird clouds. They're extremely low in the sky these days. They weren't like that in decades past. I see it D already to the naked eye on the left-hand side, a pure ring form. So look to the right with enhancement, and there's that ring. It's straight and true, and that would never occur with an organic natural cloud blowing along. So that tells me there's absolutely structure going on in this thing. Now what's interesting is with the enhancement, it really went to a whiteout, which usually it doesn't do. So there's something with a, really kind of a powerful energy source, right in there, opposed to what's going on down here. We're looking south, toward the evening. It's already a little past sunset. So there shouldn't be a red gold, a red, golden, yellow ball of any kind right so low in the sky, and then below it, this, big white, whiteout. So what the heck is going on? It also looks like we've got little objects here and there flying up out of this thing that I would call also little craft or sensors or data collectors, little probes, who knows. But certainly no natural cloud would look like this around the edges. The consistency was way off, and it wouldn't have these little bits and pieces, you know, coming off of it, nor a pure ring to the side of it. And this ball is really what the heck's going on here. And also, if you look to the left-hand side, there's another black shadow figure that looks like that one that we caught earlier in the show. And it looks very rigid. So this ball, is it hiding something beyond, or is this thing projecting up out of it? I don't know. The whole thing is just strange. See what you see is going on in the scene. All right, now this is looking to the west, and this photo happens to be a little bit fuzzy, but if you look at one of my YouTube shorts, I captured this as it was better formed, and this is when it's kind of loose and breaking apart. When it was better formed, it looked like a tooth. So I played I did a pun and played the background song to this YouTube shorts and called it, it's set to Depeche Mode's song Policy of Truth, so I had a question, is it Policy of Tooth, and by some cosmic tooth fairy or cosmic dentist in the sky. But anyway, in that YouTube video, it's much clearer. It's not a blurry photo like this one, but I still included this because you still can tell, you get the gist of what's going on. You can start to see what I'm seeing. So I definitely saw a pure triangle right off the bat at letter E, and you know, other more rigid, excuse me, like rectangular forms and things that look like they're hiding in this bigger mass, which is just, this is could never be confused with a regular cloud happening really, really low. Got to emphasize that in the western sky. So look to the right with extreme enhancement. You can see an object here that's the indigo color. It actually looks like part of a bigger thing. If you look at my overall cursor, it looks like you know what? It looks like a pointed elliptical form, almost like an outer ring with something going on in the middle here. And then down here, obviously a triangular form and something more rectilinear or cylindrical happening here. See what you see in that scene. Also, we get little bright white points. You know, even on the left, we can kind of start to see them. And that tells me, you know, that's also some type of crystalline structures going on in there. And that it's, you know, cloak and craft happening in there. All right, this is looking north. And look how bizarre this is. Again, these clouds, supposed clouds, I've used cloud in quotes, strange cloud activity, right, and the titles of all these things. That's not normal cloud behavior. It's coming up vertical, very low in the sky, and now it's, you know, going off an angle, and then it's even interrupted. So we look to the right, and we can see we have several different distinct pieces. You know, that's a cloak and craft up here at 8.1. It looks like a triangular form that's hidden cloaking over here at 8.1. Again, look at the color signatures here. All over this thing is showing some very different animal. It's warm and even white with, you know, like almost like a heat signature going on around it. That's very different than anything else happening around in the sky. When we look closer at 8.1, even now we see even these weird little things, you know, have a totally different color than this thing here. And like rectangles, you know, other little weird shapes happening around it. So once again, I'm going to say yes, we're absolutely dealing with cloak and craft here. All right, now this is looking at nighttime at 9:35 p.m. And I looked at this cloud, and it just seemed to, again, it felt weird. And we have these holes, perfect ends of holes with a rim projecting out, poking, you know, there's a hole here, here, and here. And then I started to see this shape emerging if you're following my cursor. So we look to the right. I zoomed in a bit. Here's that shape. It's definitely like a distinct shape. And then we also start to see these pronounced holes. You know, there looks like 3 of them here. So again, this thing's doing something strange. That looks like a symmetrical element, you know. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement. And we see there's definitely some kind of different object happening at 8.2. And then we really get a clear look at these holes. So once again, see what you see. I'm going to just leave this one parked there for now. Okay, this gets really weird too, looking east in the evening. There wasn't, it was already after sunset. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. It was post-sunset, but there was just this really bright source in the sky where it shouldn't be, looking east. And so with enhancement to the right, I just, you know, really, again, extreme enhanced it to see where is our power or energy source in this scene. And here we go. It's kind of distilled down to this ball. And within this ball, though, we have different things projecting out, different shapes. And it looks like the end of a pipe, you know, down here. So really strange stuff. I'm going to zoom in on that ball. And here we go. Hang on one more second. Okay, I'm back. So just really blowing everything out, the contrast and everything even more, we see our hot points are, here it looks like definitely a pointed object and maybe a triangular V-shaped object over here, and definitely some kind of machine part happening down here, or this whole thing could be one bigger cluster object. I do believe that this machine part down here that looks like an exhaust pipe on the previous previous slide, maybe that's the source of how they pump out all of the cloaking material for this thing. I don't know. See what you see. Okay, now we're going to flip around and look to the west. So we're going to look behind me from the previous photo. And again, now to the west, there's this bright white stuff happening. So what the heck's going on? We can only really tell when we do an enhancement, and this distills this whole thing down into a couple of really bright spots. So I'm going to say this is a craft here, another triangular one back in here, maybe one in the foreground of it. And then look at this thing, looks like it's shooting out of here. Again, is that like a single-seater type craft? Or is that some kind of probe or instrumentation that measures the atmosphere? I don't know what. See what you think's going on. All right, now we're going to look west toward the evening. And if you look to the left, I did do a YouTube Shorts on this as well, commenting that this is, just felt like kind of a submarine that just came in and parked in front of the moon, quote-unquote moon. I'll just say it that much about the moon. Anyway, it just sat there for a long time, and of course, right in front of, someone's ability to see the actual ball, quote-unquote ball of the moon. So a lot of weird stuff was going on also right above it. So with enhancement to the right, you can see, this just doesn't look natural. That's not a natural form of a cloud anyway you talk about it in front of the quote-unquote moon. We look down underneath E.1, that looks like actually a triangular shape of cloaking craft, even like weird little circles. This is very interesting all over the place. Then we look up in the sky, and it looks like this ball or whatever this thing is like being ejected or, catapulted through the sky with a vapor trail behind it. This stuff's just doing all kinds of weird things. What's this snake-like thing? It really does look like a snake head, coming out of this bigger ball. And what the heck is this thing? It's like a, pipe with like a triangle stuck on top of it. So I really do think we're dealing with, especially where we got this confetti kind of color, cloaking craft. And I don't know, is that something that's organic? Is that a sky form that is, or like organic life? It's just the whole scene is so strange. See what you see. Now here's that thing I was calling the, kind of weird submarine. It morphed over time. And here's the quote-unquote moon, but how can we have a bright, focal point here while we have something brighter shining behind it? So I've shown this on other shows with the sun. There seems to be an artificial body in front of another artificial body pretending to be the sun or the moon. And I think in the case of the sun, the real original sun is beyond that. But everything just, again, leads to more questions and answers. See what you feel about it. But there's no way that we could have a pure circle backlit, with a brighter thing coming behind it. So if there aren't two different luminary bodies. So that's all I'll say on that for now. This whole thing is going to start to get real interesting with some enhancement coming up right now. Here we have, I don't know what's going on behind this thing, but we have like these ends of pipes, these long, thin tubes. And I don't know what's happening over here. And we've got these two stick-like things. We have a pure circle that's either like a headlight shining or something. Is this whole thing some kind of, I don't know what, creature, organism? It looks like it has suction cups. So is this a craft emulating an organic figure, much like shown in the movie Aquaman? I mentioned that last time, where, some of their ships, their craft, their spacecraft look like fish and had characteristics of it. Or is this actually some kind of organism in the sky? Or is it just pure tech? See what you think. It's really weird, but here's a pure circle here, like a little concave dish here and here, like suction cups. And then again, little dig out, like looks like an eye or a lamp or a light. And whatever's happening back here, these flaps, and these two things projecting out at the bottom look like little arms. Anyway, we're going to zoom in one more time on that. What do you see in here? It's, to me, just totally bizarre. Again, there's like that pipe-like element. These two things sticking at the bottom, and that pure circle. And what is this? These look symmetrical, whatever they are. See what you think. All right, so here now is supposedly the ball, of the moon, but it's not. And what's this thing? Is it the end of is it a pipe sticking out? What's going on? And then this thing started to look like an arm with claws, or like a webbed foot that was like going in front of this thing at one point. We got weird little things poking up out of here, out of the quote-unquote clouds below. And here with enhancement, we can see it looks like machine parts popping out of here in the cloud below. Artificial cloud, that is. This almost looks like a leg with a clawed foot or claws. This whole thing's bizarre. And look again. See, point 1 is pure white, while all of this is dark. Now we'll look at B.1, because this to me looks like a standalone craft just hovering here like a little speeder, or with like a little command deck, or that's like a spoiler or something on this thing. We zoom in on it again. This looks like a little speeder. Maybe that is just a spoiler. And what's this thing to the right of it? Everything is just so darn strange with this scene. These things too poking out that are pure white. What is this? This almost looks like barnacles, free floating, It looks like an end of a tube over here too. I don't even know what to say about this. Looks like another end of a tube over here. What do you see? Okay, this one's just really strange. Looking northwest toward 5 p.m. around there. We get this glare out, this white out, which I'm going to call the artificial sun solar simulator, creating that. But what's really strange is these two things are going on a parallel, on angle, and are parallel to each other. So that caught my attention, that these aren't natural clouds. These are cloak and craft. And with enhancement, we can see they're on the same angle. This looks like it's, drawing a trail behind it, a vapor trail that's almost like sucking it up with it behind it. And so, again, these two are going off at the same angle, and they have a totally different color signature than the other stuff happening around in the sky. So I'm calling those two cloak and craft. All right, this is looking to the north, and the pattern on this was just so strange. What's happening below here? Excuse me one more second. Okay, the patterning of what's happening below here compared to what's happening above at sea. So when we look to the right, sea looks like something, dove down and made a track in the sky in this other particulate, whatever it is, this artificial cloaking stuff. I still don't know quite what's going on here down here. This almost looks like sky air elementals or wisps that are more organic, but I don't get it, like what it's doing, what's the relation to everything else around it. See what you see on this one. All right, now this is also looking north at around 2 in the afternoon, and we see what looks like a sky imprint. So, to me, there's a straight line. Definitely worth looking at it with enhancement. And we have some kind of object sitting here. Again, is this some kind of organic object, or is it something actually an organism in the sky? We've got perfect curves going on. This looks like a spine. It's a really sharp edge line here with shadow. What do you think is going on that one? We also have some kind of object. It looks like a spherical or like a shield-like object up here above 8.1. All right, and then look, we got more weird stuff going on. We have a pure line happening, following up to A. So with enhancement, that's why. There's some kind of object cloaking in here. We have some, it continues. This looks like one big massive thing to me. And we're going to zoom in a little in a more black and white scale. We see what almost looks like windows. There's something separating them here. I don't think this is a real organism with those are being eyes, but see what you see. Anything's possible these days. And again, if you watch my cursor to the right, it's a little rough, but it's a straight edge, and that's not going to occur in a cloud. All right, also not going to occur in a cloud. This is on the left-hand side, the original looking north, on March 11th at around 2:30 in the afternoon. I just felt, I looked up, I was at a St. Patrick's Day festival. I was not drinking, so I was clear of mind and vision. But when I looked to the north, this just felt really low, and it just felt weird that this thing was going straight up and then expanded out into this. And that there was so much movement, and it just screamed like it had a ton of craft in there. Although I couldn't really see anything. I knew it was in there, but I couldn't pick it out. So later, when I did this show tonight, look to the right. Here we go. We have what looks like a symmetrical craft with, if that's like the front of it, if that's the bow, we're looking at the underside of it. If that's the front of it and that's the back, if that's the stern, and then we have these arms coming out connected to these other things. Those would be like the wings with other little pods on them. The whole thing's really, really bizarre. but it's absolutely craft because it's symmetrical, it's fuzzy, it's got this plasma clinging all around it. And we start to see actual machine parts with holes and things, especially down here at B.1. We're going to zoom in there because we have stick-like things plus all these holes. It's pretty wild. So here we're zooming in on the overall shape again. And you definitely can start to see, pick out, there's like little something not quite right here, like machine parts. And so we're going to zoom in once again down on this section because look at, we see perfect holes. We're seeing the ends of perfect holes. At the same time, we're seeing some pipes and other just weird forms. This also is pretty weird. It looks like a cylinder on an angle, and we're seeing the end of it. So we're going to look at this particular thing over here with the question marks. Look at these pure holes all over the place, and then these become, rigid. That's going to a point. These are rigid elements. So to me, yes, all of these are machine parts, and we're looking at an overall cloaking craft. Here with a little more enhancement and contrast, we get to these holes. We're looking at the ends of pipes, and look at this thing. I mean, this is rigid machined parts. See what you see, though. All right, now in the same area at the festival, I'm looking north, looking up, and I started to see this, which was, it was getting more and more formed as I watched it. But anyway, there's a pure straight curve here. And this was looking like a triangular form. So we look to the right-hand side, and yep, we've got a pure, hard edge here. So that's definitely a cloaking object. And we have little ring-like things happening at the back, a triangle shape here, down here, weird little things flying in the sky independently. D.1 looks like at the end of a pipe as well, with a symmetrical object, attached to it. So we're going to zoom in and look at, we have a pure ring with, this is symmetrical, these two little these weird little lines, look like a clasp or a clamp or something. We have a triangle down here at C.2, and then we've got that pure arc. And we have something strange happening too at E.2. And then we have this straight line with an interruption, it looks like a hole. Really strange. So with more enhancement, we see that these have different color signatures. These are independent objects, and this one too. And this one has looks like it has a vapor trail in it, or it's connected to another round object. Then other enhancement, we see that this looks like some kind of conical figure with an open cylindrical element. And then we see that these are connected at 8.2. Really strange stuff going on here. What do you see? All right, then looking north in that same general area, the profile of this quote-unquote cloud, it was behaving so strange. I caught it after it was already looking really bizarre. But this thing, is popping up on its own and hooking around, and then these things are coming up. I mean, no natural clouds act that way. So with enhancement, look at this, even looks like a gear or, a little star shape. And it looks like something is popping up out and hurling this thing in the air, and this thing wants to catch it at C and B. That's what I see. Like it's shooting hoops, like this thing is supposed to land in between the prongs. I'm going to say obviously it has to be cloaking craft going on all in here. We're going to look in and zoom in and look at this thing. It's got it's like a gear or something. It looks very symmetrical. What's this thing flying up out of here? Is this a little being? This almost looks like a humanoid with a head and eyes and arms. I mean, the more you look at some of this stuff, you can really get lost for days trying to pick out what the heck is going on. So what do you think is going on in this scene? This is not a typical profile, of a regular organic cloud of decades past. There's weird little things kind of crawling out of this little crevice too. See what you see. All right, now this is looking west at around 6 p.m. And on the left-hand side, just again, the whole sky just had this even, veiled, particulate mess behind what's supposed to be the sun, which is way too low, way too close in proximity to the viewer, being me. And it just did not feel natural. It's not the slightly pulsing golden sun of the past. This is like a white glare ball. And we look to the right, and we see with enhancement, it's, that white ball. Anyway, really bizarre. This over here is a lens flare to the right. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. I just want to say thanks for bringing some good luck here a while and joining me on this episode. And if you've followed any of my other shows, I really appreciate it and look forward to having your company again in the future, walking through these things with me. This image, I just titled it, Wishing You Luck and Good Fortune at Your Side. today and every day. So as always, I wish you tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.